Hey, good morning, y'all. Happy Easter to everybody. Real life got the best of me this this week, so I didn't have a video prepared for this week. So I figured, well, you don't do live streams very often. Let's go do a live stream and see what happens. So, good morning. And I don't really have a topic to talk about today. I just figured we get together and see how many folks jump over in the chat. And if anybody wanted to throw in a suggestion or had any questions or comments or concerns or anything like that, we can go for it. I've already got a few people over in the chat. I see we got Matt Haas, Awesome Wood Things. Hey, what's up, man? Patrick's Workshop. You'll notice Patrick's Workshop's logo is sitting right over here above my shoulder on the front of my little El Cheapo laser. And if I'm honest, that logo right there is about the only thing on that laser that's working good right now. But yeah, it's pretty sharp. He 3D printed that for me and sent it to me. Thank you very much, Patrick, along with a bunch of other 3D printed parts for the laser. Um, it's let's just say, as far as the laser is concerned, it's a process. So I see Dale Scott out there, and Richard Weiss and Jeff Burklow. Good morning, happy Easter to y'all. Again, as I say, I have really no topic. I have a few things to talk about here. uh, First thing I'll get out there is there is not going to be a video next week. And the reason for that is we are going to be out of town. And I just do not have time. We're getting everything together to head out of town. And I do not have time to do a video. So there will be no video next week. I will be down in Woodland, California at the Sacramento Valley Highland Games. For those of you who don't know anything about Highland culture or anything like that, or Scottish culture, it's just a gathering of clans. There are bagpipes, too many bagpipes. I say this as a man who's married to a bagpiper. And Highland games, you know, caber toss, hammer throw, things of that nature. And they just get together all weekend long and give it a good go. So if anybody's going to be down in Woodland, California at the Highland Games, come up and say hello. I'll be walking around in a t-shirt with my logo on it. I have a couple of them. Come up and say hello. You know, I'll have some stickers and stuff like that. So that's this coming up weekend down in Woodland, California at the Sacramento Valley Highland Gathering and Games. So other than that, I don't really have a whole heck of a lot to talk about, other than, rather than making this a channel update, I figured I would just go live and see if anybody had any questions, comments, concerns, or looking for some guidance as far as CNC is concerned. Now, I got to preface this by saying I am not a CNC expert. I've never claimed to be one. I know the equipment that I own. I know the software that I have and that I use. Um, and that's really about it. I ran across two CNCers here, home hobby CNCers, locally, that were having a little bit of problems. One of them using universal G-code sender, and we got together over at his house. Hi, Dean, if you're watching, and Jim. And that's the first time I'd ever had anything to do with universal G-code sender. He was having a few problems, and we got a couple of them straightened out. But I really don't know that software. So when folks send me questions about universal G-code sender, I have to refer you back to some of the forums, some of the groups. I mean, it's I just, if I don't know, I have to tell you I don't know. So that's HD4s, especially for some reason. Um, my best response to that is to get a hold of Next Wave Automation and ask them about it, because I've never been in the same building with a shark. So, you know, see, I have a question over here from Malcolm Turton. What's the problems with the laser? Just wanted to order one. Now you have me worried. It's basically this particular laser. The problems I'm having with this one, I think what happened was this one was dropped. And there's a lot of alignment issues. There are a lot of very small problems that I've gotten fixed. There are a few more that I still have to work through, and it all comes down to aligning the mirrors. You can see behind me in my messy shop room here, along the back of the laser, running the entire length of the back, is a 27-inch long tube, and it bounces off of a mirror over in this corner. The beam comes out about here and bounces off of a mirror, then runs down here to this corner, bounces off of another mirror over to the laser head, which moves back and forth as it cuts or engraves. And there are so many bent and misaligned parts in this puppy. It's let's just say it's a process. I'm having to realign everything and get it all just so, and that's including bending a lot of parts. And I think I've replaced every screw in this thing, just getting it aligned. I mean, it will do decent quality work, but it's not up to snuff yet. I mean, I have a couple of little things that I've cut here, playing around with a compass rose. It will engrave, but you can see it's kind of inconsistent in certain areas. It's just, like I say, getting everything aligned and getting it all set up to where it's nice and consistent. I don't think my experience with this laser is typical. Steve Nealon, web host to the stars of Harneal Media, he got one about a week before I got mine and got it set up to run, and he's been having no problems. I mean, his ran great from the get-go, just absolutely zero trouble with it. He plugged in the cooler, turned it on, and boom, gone. Just having an absolute blast with his. So, Patrick over at Patrick's workshop, his work's great. They're all running rings around me, and the funny part is, I ordered mine first. It's a process. That's about all I can say on that. So, hey, Dave Gatton, the man behind all of this. I got to tell you, folks, if you've never gone over to Dave Gatton's channel, you need to do so. He's responsible for all of this, and I firmly ride his coattails, and I make no bones about it. So head over to Dave Gatton's channel, and if you're looking for a decent DIY kit, check out his website, davegatton.com. He's got a couple of things for you to take a look at, both in the Gatton CNC and the GarageWorks CNC. No, it's not a sunrise service, but join me in a hot beverage. So, something I did want to talk about a little bit. I have noticed some recurring themes, and I know new people get into CNC every day. And folks will get into CNC and try to jump in head first on a real difficult project. CNC is just like anything else. You kind of have to learn your way around 3 or 4 different things all at once. And it does require practice. I mean, when I got my first CNC built, which was one of Dave Gatton's shoestring budget CNCs, I had to learn not only the VCarve software, I had to learn Mach 3, how to control it, how to make it move where I wanted it to move. Then I had to learn what it could do, what I could do, and figure out both of our limitations. So I got onto Craigslist and I started looking in the free section to see who was getting rid of scrap wood. And I found a gentleman who had replaced a about 100-foot section of fence, and he had a bunch of fence boards to get rid of. So I went over and I grabbed a couple of dozen that were destined for the landfill, screwed them down onto my table, and I started practicing on that. I mean, I carved my name into so many pieces of wood that it's absolutely ridiculous. But I had to learn the process. I had to learn the machine. I had to learn the software to control the machine. You know, you have to work your way through it. And I see a lot of folks are getting everything set up, and their first project, they want to be a 3D carve that's going to take 22 hours. And they have a multitude of questions. My suggestion is start with the basics. I mean, one of the first projects that I learned how to cut was a simple square with a circle inside of it. And that did two things. It taught me a little bit about the machine, and it checked the machine to make sure that my square was actually square, my circle was actually a circle, and not some teardrop or oval or anything like that. I see Rob Schuster just commented he went through so many cedar fence slats for experiments. I did the same thing. I carved fence boards into powder, and what was left over went into the fire pit. So it was destined for the landfill anyway. At least I got some use out of it. And I actually made a couple of things that worked. But you have to kind of build yourself up. Some folks are asking me, I get emails every day, they're asking me questions about, do you have a video on this or do you have a video on that? I have a bunch of videos. And what I'll do, I forgot to do it before I went live. I will put a link in the description to a playlist of all the videos that I have out there. And my suggestion would be to start with number one and work your way through. You've got to learn the machine. You've got to learn the software before you can really start to see the capabilities of your machine, its limits, your limits, and your comfort level. It is intimidating. It's intimidating like heck. 5 years ago, I'd never been in the same building with one. And with Dave Gatton's tutelage and help from a couple of other people, Bill Griggs being another one, I was actually able to get comfortable with this and get to using it. I'm still not an expert. There are millions of people out there that run circles around me in VCarve, in Mach 3, or just any software, just using it. But I'm comfortable with what I have. I'm comfortable with the software that I'm using, and I'm not an expert, but my whole point in all of this is to try to show folks that while it's intimidating, it's not impossible, and you can do it. What got me started in it was a gentleman back east somewhere who spent a lot of money buying a CNC router, and after about 3 months or 3 months, for those of you who can speak, he got fed up with it and just sold it at a ridiculously low price. And that just kind of breaks my heart, when just a little bit of tutoring would have gotten him through the whole thing. And it is intimidating, but it's not impossible. And if I can do it, you can do it. As I say, 5 years ago, I'd never been in the same building with a CNC router. So yeah, Dave Gatton just says newbies will make a lot of pretty firewood. Oh boy. And some old bees too. Not everything works out on the first try. So, well, does anybody have any questions over there? Any comments? Any concerns? Oh, Fred. No, I'm not an expert. Fred Starkey says, if you're not an expert, I hate to think what that makes me. I am not an expert. I am far from it. I'm a home hobbyist. This is not my business. This is not my line of work. I make a few things for a few shops that they sell, but that's not my main source of income. I can take the time to run a toolpath twice. So Matt Haas says, sounds like me. I'm convinced my issues are hardware related. The thing just slips and won't stay on path. Something I've learned and Dave drilled into my head, Matt, is always check the mechanical first. Some folks want to dive right into software and start checking settings and this, that, and the other, but he's 100% correct. Changed. Always check the mechanical first. If something's slipping, if something's loose, gonna plug another video I did. Look into slippage marks. If you've got gears, if you've got pulleys for belts, if you have couplers from motors, just do a slippage mark on it. And basically, all I did was I used a little bit of whiteout, drew a line on the motor shaft up onto the coupler. That way you can tell if that coupler slips on that shaft, on that motor shaft, you can see it. With a bright, shiny motor shaft and that pulley or that coupler, you can't look at it and tell if that is spun. You really don't know. There's no way of seeing. Putting a line there with whiteout or heck, even a Sharpie or nail polish, paint, whatever, that gives you a visual indication. You can look at all your couplers, you can look at all your pulleys or all your gears and see if something has slipped. Belt tension is not anything I really know about. I'm learning on this because I had one belt that was so tight it wouldn't move. But it's something that I'm learning myself. So no, Dave, not going to get a laser demonstration this morning. It's still a process. It's still I'm getting there. It's still not right. Like I said earlier, I think this particular laser was dropped because there's a lot of things out of alignment. There's I just don't see anything leaving a factory in this condition, not with the damaged tube I got and everything else. So it's still not dialed in. I'm still working on it. So, yeah. See, Matt, I did that on the V wheels. Is that what you mean? Yeah, put it on the V wheels. Any screw that you think may back out or you're not sure about, or any mechanical connections. Like I say, if you have a stepper motor shaft that comes out, if there's a pulley on it, or for a belt, or if there's a coupler on it, put a slippage mark on it so you can look at it and see, has that spun? Did the motor turn a little bit when you had some pressure on that belt? Just it won't cure a problem, but it'll let you know that you do have a problem there. Basically, Dave, yeah, I got a lemon. I think this one got dropped. Whether a whole pallet of them got dropped or this one got knocked off a stack or what, I don't know. And when I made that arrangement with the seller to have them replace the tube, that was basically it. I can't return it now, so I'm I'm about ready to just completely disassemble it and take a page out of your book, Dave, and just re-engineer the entire ding-dong thing. And to be honest with you, that's not out of the realm of possibility. They're actually very, very simple. It's an X and Y gantry that you just have to get lined up with your laser tube. And as I say, the tube on this puppy is 27 inches long. It goes almost the entire width of the back of that machine. And the thing about it is it's mounted to the case, just a thin sheet metal case. And then up front, up in this area here, you have a gantry that's X and Y. There is no Z adjustment at all. And it's mounted to brackets that are welded in the bottom of the case. So you're assuming those brackets got welded in there straight, and you're assuming that the gantry is mounted in there straight, which I can tell you right now, it's not. The case is not square, and everything is kind of free floating in tandem. So you have a laser tube that's mounted back here that could be twisted or jacked up like that. Then you have a gantry up front in front of it that could be twisted, or if nothing else, it breaks up that nasty front end. So, but yeah, basically, I got a lemon. Lesson learned. And, you know, I call that the Lindsay curse. If I take off my right glove and it's 40 below zero outside, whatever I'm looking for is going to be in my left pocket. That's just what it's like to be me. So, okay, we're talking about my late Greg Casey says for late joiners, what is the name of this device and who sells it? We're talking about this. They are collectively known as a K40 laser. K40 being, I don't know if that's the class of laser or what. 40 being the wattage of the tube. It's an inexpensive 40-watt laser. They were developed years ago. I say years ago, 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago, to engrave rubber stamp material. And you could import a image, create the, for lack of a better term, the tool paths to laser engrave on rubber stamp material. And folks started getting them as the price came down on them, because so many of them were being made. Folks started getting them and modifying them to engrave and cut out thin woods or plastics, things like that. It'll melt through plexiglass like you wouldn't believe. But this particular one that I got, I think it just got dropped, and it needs a total rebuild from stem to stern. Yeah, Don, thank you. I have no doubt that I will eventually get it running, but like I say, it's a process. So Jeff over Restorer 66, does my laser compare to the laser that you can put on a CNC machine? Okay, this is a CO2 laser, meaning it has a long CO2 filled tube that generates the beam. The type of laser that mounts on a CNC is a diode laser. You know the little laser pointers that have the red dot that you drive cats crazy with? That's a diode laser. It's just that those laser pointers are such low, wattage. We're talking milliwatts here. Diode lasers are run usually, I think, what's the JTech? They're around 2.8. I think some of them are 3.8. There might be some 4-watt lasers out there now. The difference basically is the laser source. They use a diode, where this uses a big CO2 filled tube across the back. Yes, Matt, I did try turning it off and back on again several times a day. So the diode lasers will mount to the Z axis on your CNC. And now I don't have one, so I'm going off of memory. I know Dave Gatton has one. I know several people. Trevor Carter at Trevor's Woodshop, he just got one. Michael Chiser, Jerry Brown. There's several folks that have diode lasers. The main reason I went with something like this is because during the winter months, it's wet and muddy and so cold out there in my unheated shop, I thought I could put this back here in this room in the house and use it when I couldn't be outside on the CNC. Well, best laid plans of mice and men. I wanted to work with this one indoors, basically in a climate controlled area, instead of having to rely on the CNC out in the shop. In hindsight, maybe I would have gone with the diode laser. I think my only problem with the diode laser and my only hesitation is in this, the laser beam is enclosed. It's got a polycarbonate lens you can see there that is tinted to block the laser beam should it reflect off of something on the material or something under the material, whereas a diode laser out on the CNC is just wide open. And I'm in an area where I have to think about more than just myself. If I have my grandkids or my kids over and they'll come out into the shop, especially if I'm running the CNC, they like to, my granddaughter likes to watch it run. And with the laser on it, I just didn't feel comfortable having a big exposed laser on it that could be reflecting anywhere. So two main reasons why I got this one here. Now, in hindsight, I don't know. Maybe I should have. So buy a 3D printer and make plastic crap. Yeah, that's that's a good point, Dave. A couple of people have asked me what's a good accessory to get for one of these lasers. Number one is a 3D printer for all of the stuff you're going to want to print to help make it work better. And I owe a lot to Patrick's workshop over there. He made me a new exhaust port on the back. You can't see any kind of an exhaust port sticking up, no hoses or anything. He printed me a nice exhaust port on the back that slips down into the mount, run a 4-inch exhaust hose out the window. He printed me, oh my gosh, little targets to mount on my laser beam, to mount on my laser mirrors to help aim them and get them aligned, mounting brackets for drag chain, and I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So yeah, the first accessory you'll want for a K40 laser is you'll want a 3D printer to print up all the accessories. Yeah, Patrick is a good guy. Oh, and he also sent me, you're absolutely right, Patrick, a banana for scale. So you can look for this. It'll show up in something. Yeah, there are people who, Malcolm says there are some people on YouTube that have made enclosures for diode lasers. You're absolutely right. My problem is I don't want to enclose the CNC because I do on occasion run things larger than my table. Not very often, but I do sometimes run things on pieces that are bigger than my table. So I need it to be open. I know there's no perfect solution. So and every situation is going to be a little bit different. But we've had some people join in here since I said something. I want to let everybody know that there will not be a video next week. We are going out of town. In fact, it's coming up Thursday. We're leaving. We're going down to Woodland, California, to the Sacramento Valley Highland Gathering and Games. And my wife is a bagpiper with the Jefferson Pipe Band. They will be competing down there. We're going to go down and just have a good old Scottish time. If anybody is going to be going to the Highland Games in Woodland, look for me. I'll be out there walking around. I'll have some stickers. Just come up and say hi. And, we're not going to be going to the Friday night Kaylee. For those of you who don't know what a Kaylee is, it's a big party. I might wear my kilt, Dave. I don't know. It's possible. I hadn't thought about it, actually. I might be. I don't play. I don't compete, so I would just be wearing it to say that I'm wearing it. But I might. I might. We'll see what happens. I'll definitely take it with me. That way I have the option. But a Kaylee is just a big party, and there's one on Friday night with a couple of bands. We won't be there, but we will be there Saturday and Sunday, all over the place. I have the best knees you have ever seen, Peter. Yes, I do. I have the knees for it. Charles Deschler, thanks for all the help. Thank you, Charles. I do appreciate it. Jeff, you're 100% right, and I'm going to just let folks read that over in the chat. So, but anyway, if you happen to be down there at the Sacramento Valley Gathering and Games, come up, say hi, and hope to see somebody down there. We'll see. I don't know that we're going to have any time. I know that there are a few people. Marsh Wildman lives down in Sacramento. There's a few to get together with anybody down there. We'll see. We're kind of sort of working on a few things. I don't know how it's going to work out. That's part of pipe band life. If you're not performing, you're tuning or you're getting ready for the next competition or something like that. And while I'm not a player, I do fetch and carry for the pipers and drummers and things of that nature. It's a lot of fun. So totally, absolutely nothing to do with anything else. So does anybody have any kind of questions? I've been on for about 32 minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, demands for payment, anything? I know Patrick mentioned earlier that all my talk about this laser is scaring people off. My experience with this thing is not typical. A lot of it is the user, I'm sure. But it's just like anything else. Like I say, you don't buy it and expect to be an expert with it on day one, especially if it's been dropped or something like this one. So I will shoot a little bit of video. I plan on doing a little bit of I may do a live or two, we'll see. But yeah, I will be shooting video undoubtedly. If no, for nobody else, for the kids and grandkids, I might put some up on the channel, we'll see. So woodworkers apparently need facial hair. Newsflash, folks, Matt Haas of Awesome Wood Things is going to start growing a mustache. So I think we should start a pool and take bets on how long he keeps it. Just me. Just an idea. Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate that. Malcolm Turton wants to know, totally off topic, but is that your truck and teardrop caravan on my homepage? That's my desktop on my computer. No, that is not mine. I used to be hot and heavy into camp trailers, travel trailers, pop-up tent trailers, and teardrop trailers, designing, building, working on. I've been doing that as a hobby on the side for 25 years, just a little bit here and there. And one of that truck on my I don't know that I can screen share here. No, this is not Google Hangouts. I can't screen share. What Malcolm is talking about is I have a Willys Overland. It's 1950 Willys Overland, pulling a teardrop trailer. It's a picture just as my desktop on my PC. That's not mine. That was my inspiration. I wanted to build a teardrop trailer exactly like that. And one of my dream rigs has always been a Willys Overland like that. It's not a pickup. It's like, you might call it the world's first SUV. It's a four-wheel drive, Jeep-looking wagon that will carry 5 people comfortably. And I've always loved that thing. And I found that picture online. I don't even know who owns it, and just said, that's got to be my inspiration. I want to build a teardrop trailer like that. I've had it for about 15 years and just have never changed it. But yeah, I get quite a few comments on that. So let's see. Kevin Kilby, hello, I'm new to this. Your videos are a great help. How do you work on pieces bigger than your CNC? I don't know what software you're working with, Kevin. That's going to be different for every CAD CAM software. If you're using one of the Vectric titles like VCarve, Aspire, Cut 2D, go into your help menu and then straight down below that you'll see open video browser, video tutorial browser, and look in those video tiling toolpaths. If you're using Fusion 360 something else, I really have no idea. I do not know Fusion 360 at all. I know Fusion 360 is free, but it's got a learning curve that's almost vertical for someone like me. Vectric, Dave Gatton introduced me to VCarve Pro. I fell in love with it. Yes, it is pricey, but after, like he likes to say, after using it for 6 or 7 months, you'll believe they don't charge enough for it. You'll wonder how they sell it so cheap. It's got a very gentle learning curve, and it's good for the home hobbyist and the professional alike. I mean, it does have some limitations. If you do a lot of 3D work, then you'll need to step up to Aspire if you want to design and do 3D modeling. But as far as just getting into CNC and learning how to use the CAD CAM program, Cut 2D and VCarve have a very gentle learning curve. And I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And yeah, it is relatively easy to learn. Just got to pay attention to a few things. And that brings me on to a point that I wanted to make for some of the folks that just joined. I do get a lot of questions on what, do you have a video on this? Do you have a video on that? I didn't do it before I started the live stream. I will do it as soon as we're finished here. I'll put a link in the description of this video to, I have a couple of playlists. I have one playlist called CNC for the absolute beginner. If you're brand new, start with that series. As it sits right now, I have 22 videos in that playlist. And it starts from the very beginning and gets into the basics and gets progressively more advanced. But start from number one and work your way through. Learn the software, run it at the same time, pause, do it in the software, follow along as I'm going in the tutorial. I know they're long, I know they're dry, I know they're boring, but that's the easiest way to get from point A to point B. Aim low at first. Learn how to basic navigation and how to use it, and then follow along in order. That's the best way to go. You can't jump in at level 21 and have questions about everything that's happened prior to that. You know, who to call to purchase Aspire? Vectric.com. Vectric.com. That's their website, and they will hook you right up. I've got nothing bad to say about Vectric, to be honest with you. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not endorsed by them. I don't work for them. I'm not connected with them in any way, shape, manner, or form. But for anybody just starting out, I know it's a big chunk of change. I know it's a lot of money, but that's the way to go. No hard copy. Well, they will send you out a USB drive with the software on it if you ask them to. You can download a free trial and follow along with the tutorials, both their tutorials. Dave Gatton has some tutorials on his YouTube channel. Peter Pasuelo has several tutorials on his channel, CNC Nuts. And let me tell you, if you're not subscribed to Peter and Dave, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. The knowledge, those two have more knowledge and have taught me more than anybody. Anybody. I mean, you know, I make it no secret, I firmly ride Dave's coattails. When it comes to the CNC thing, he is Obi-Wan. Trust me. And Peter is right there. Right there. Peter, in fact, was the first CNC website with Patrick Hood Daniel building his first CNC in an upstairs apartment, building it in his bathroom and on his kitchen table. And I got interested in trying to learn how to build one. I had no doubts that I could build the structure, but I'm not an electronics guy. And I just thought home CNC would be neat. And I ran across one of Peter's videos, and I don't even remember what he was making in the video. And I just thought that was neat. So I subscribed. Then I bumped into Dave Gatton in a cigar box guitar forum and subscribed to his YouTube channel about 2 weeks before he started the CNC for the on a shoestring budget build. And when he finally started releasing plans, if I wasn't the first one to request a set, I was in the top 5. Well, now he no longer does that. He no longer has that CNC out there, but he does have the Gatton CNC kit, and I believe he offers plans as well. Hit davegatton.com and you'll find out. I have a Gatton CNC. I love my Gatton CNC. I have zero regrets. I know a lot of people look at it and go, but it's made out of plywood. For what I have invested in that CNC, it's the baddest CNC on the block. I'll put it up against any of them. Yeah, there are faster CNCs. Yeah, there are stronger CNCs out there. But I have less than $2,000 in my setup, including VCarve Pro. So I have absolutely no regrets and would do it again in an instant. So you're welcome, Dave. Checks in the mail. Yeah, I'm a little biased too. Okay, well, if I don't have any questions, yeah, I still have my shoestring CNC in storage. Rob Schuster mentioned his. I still have mine in storage. It's going to go to my daughter if she ever decides that she wants to get a place to put it. If not, I'm hopefully going to break ground on a new shop this year. If not, I just may end up with 2 CNC routers outside. So we'll see. Okay, if there are no questions, if there are no comments, concerns, I see Austin Lyons. Is this being recorded to watch later? I just showed up. Yes, it will be on later. As soon as I end the stream, YouTube does a little magical mystery processing there in the background, and then it stays up on my channel. It'll be just another 45-minute long video on my channel, same as everything else. So, excuse me. Yes, it will be available to watch later on. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for your support. I don't know where all the subscribers are coming from, but I absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. I've gone over 6,700 subscribers, and nobody is more surprised than I am. I just started doing this to help a couple people out, answer a few questions, and it just kind of went crazy. Thank you, everybody. Special thanks to Dave Gatton, and a special thanks to Peter Pasqualo for teaching me everything I know, but certainly not everything they know. And I'll say it again, if you're not subscribed to Dave and Peter and you're even slightly interested in CNC, if you're not subscribed to them, you're just wrong. So I'll put links to their channels in the description as soon as we end this stream. Again, there will be no video next weekend. I'll be out of town. I've already said that. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody. Have a happy Easter. Have a great day. And get out and make some chips.